Chapter 2469. Yes, yes. Let's do it together. As Liang Xinyue said that, she mustered up her courage and grabbed Yi Li's arm. It was because she had not clung onto Mo Yen that she had missed out on this opportunity. Now that she had come across someone suitable, she might miss out on this opportunity again if she did not take the initiative. As long as she worked hard and managed to hook up with Yi Li, it would all be worth it. Yi Li was almost disgusted by Liang Xinyue. How could there be such a shameless woman in the world? He had already rejected her, but she stuck to him like a dog's skin plaster. If it were not for the fact that Liang Xinyue was Zhao Yun's cousin, he would not have been able to resist the urge to lay his hands on her. Although he did not really like to bully women, he really did not mind hitting them if they crossed the line. He would not be willing to stick to his principles once he had been forced to a certain extent. However, before Yi Li could push Liang Xinyue away, a figure suddenly darted over. He grabbed Liang Xinyue and stood between Yi Li and Liang Xinyue. "What are you doing? You're a girl who doesn't even know shame and clings onto a man. Is this how your parents taught you? Look at how eager you are. You must have seduced quite a few men." Yi Li was extremely familiar with the voice of the person who spoke. Yi Li looked to the side and saw Anil as expected. She was still dressed as a man. He had no idea why she had come to Shuilan village as well. Liang Xinyue was a girl after all. Even though she was a little shameless, her ears still reddened when someone said that. Liang Xinyue looked at Anil and discovered that Anil was an extremely fair man. He wore embroidered clothes and gave off a sense of nobility. She could tell with a single glance that he was not a simple person. She thought that Zhao Yun really knew a lot of rich and good-looking men. It was probably because of Mu Lianfeng's identity as the heir that she knew so many men from rich families. Zhao Yun just happened to be a bad person. She had married well, rising up from the mountains to become a phoenix. However, she had never thought about introducing good men to Liang Xinzi. Any random man she introduced would definitely be better than the rough men from the countryside. Liang Xinzi heard Anil's words and felt extremely happy. She couldn't stand Liang Xinyue's shameless behavior. Before she could say anything, she was caught by another person and scolded Liang Xinyue. Seeing Liang Xinzi laughing loudly, Liang Xinyue glared at Liang Xinzi with a gloomy face. "Anil? What are you laughing at?" Liang Xinzi bluntly replied, cousin, don't you know what you've done? Do you even need to ask me? Indeed, some people not only don't know shame, they don't even know their place. When we get back, I'll let second uncle and second aunt educate you properly. Otherwise, you'll definitely come out and embarrass our Liang family again." Liang Xinyue's expression turned even uglier. Her face was as red as a monkey's butt. Anil continued to stab her with another sentence, "You're still making a fool of yourself when you look like this. Which man would fancy a woman like you? Unless he's blind, that's more likely." Liang Xinyue touched her face. She was starting to doubt her life. In her opinion, she was not bad-looking. Why was it that in the eyes of these good-looking and rich men, they would not fancy her? She was not ugly. In any case, she was still considered a flower in the village. Chapter 2470. Liang Xinzi laughed even louder. Seeing Liang Xinyue being humiliated made her feel even better. Liang Xinyue could no longer face Yi Li and Anil shamelessly. She ran back into the house in shame. Yi Li's mouth twitched. Then he turned around to continue preparing the firewood. Anil quickly caught up with Yi Li and shouted, "Yi Li, wait for me." Yi Li did not stop walking. Instead, he replied calmly, "Don't follow me." Anil pouted stubbornly, "No. I want to follow you." "Yes, yes, yes." Faced with such a stubborn Anil, Yi Li could only keep quiet and continue walking. When Anil saw that Yi Li was ignoring her, she became a little anxious. She felt very upset that he was not talking to her. Anil angrily blocked Yi Li's way and said pitifully, Yi Li, why are you acting like you're keeping me at arm's length? Do you really hate me that much? Don't you care about me at all? We don't know each other well. Yi Li said calmly. Because they didn't know each other well, they couldn't even be considered friends. Friends might care about each other. Only strangers would be treated with complete disregard. After hearing Yi Li's words, Anil felt like a needle had pierced her heart. She didn't understand why Yi Li had to say such hurtful words. Anil tried hard to calm the pain in her heart. She pursed her lips and stared at Yi Li with her gem-like eyes. She smiled and chuckled, Yi Li, why don't you ask me why I'm here again? Aren't you even a little bit curious? Yi Li was silent for a moment. He did have some doubts in his heart, but he didn't want to ask. He roughly knew why Anil was here. She was definitely here for him. But how could a high and mighty princess like Anil escape from the palace and run to Shui Lan village? He didn't know the details. Of course, he didn't want to know either. Because he didn't want to have anything to do with Anil, he naturally didn't want to care about her or understand her too much. Anil endured the pain in her heart and said, Yi Li, I'm doing this for you. I like you too much. That's why I want to follow you wherever you go. You rejected my brother's reward. Mother didn't agree to me marrying you, so I could only run away. Even if I knew that I had given up everything just to be with you, you would still reject me. I still ran out. As long as I can see you every day, it doesn't matter if we aren't together, protecting you is actually a kind of happiness. Anil felt like she had been possessed. She was the great Zhou country's princess and had seen many outstanding men, but she was still captivated by Yi Li. She even threw away her pride and said these words to Yi Li. Anil didn't dare believe that she said these words. After all, she was once a high and mighty little princess. She was used to being arrogant, but one day she lowered her head for a man, lowering herself to this extent. Yi Li heard Anil's words and his heart felt uncomfortable. He never thought that Anil's feelings for him would be this deep. But he didn't have any feelings for Anil. Chapter 2471. Yi Li softly said, I thank the eldest princess for her love, but I hope that the eldest princess won't waste time on me. Sometimes, the more you put in, the more disappointed you would be when you didn't receive anything in return. Yi Li didn't think he was a bad person, so he didn't hate Anil that much right now. So he didn't want Anil to waste time on him and be hurt, which would lead to a terrifying ending. Anil rubbed her nose and willfully said, No, I just want to stick to you. Even if you don't like me, I still want to stick to you. Whether it's a waste of time or not, that's up to me. Yi Li, let me tell you, the things this princess likes will definitely be obtained. The man I like will be chased down one day. Just you wait. Anil's face was filled with determination. Anyway, she had set her mind on Yi Li in this life. She didn't like other men and didn't like them at all. Rather than this, it was better to keep guarding Yi Li. As long as she persevered, perhaps there would be hope. It wasn't easy for her to leave the palace this time. According to her mother's intentions, Yi Li didn't know how to appreciate kindness, so she didn't need to think about this man. She was even afraid that she would run away, so she arranged for people to watch her. She could only stay in her own palace and couldn't move around as she pleased. It was because of her royal brother's arrangements that she had the chance to come out, rushing all the way to Water Mist Village. According to her royal brother's intentions, if she could chase down Yi Li and make Yi Li willing to return to the court as an official, he would agree to them being together. After all, the emperor didn't want to waste a talent like Yi Li and hoped that Yi Li could continue to serve the court. But the emperor knew that forcefully picked melons weren't sweet. Yi Li didn't care about the court and just wanted to be a normal person, living a normal life. If he didn't agree and insisted on letting Yi Li continue to serve in the court, Yi Li wouldn't do his best to help him like before. He only kept the person, but he didn't keep the heart. But if Yi Li was pursued by Anil and truly liked Anil, he would be the great Zhou country's prince consort in the future. With this relationship, it was only natural that Yi Li would work for the emperor and the imperial court. If it weren't for the fact that the emperor appreciated Yi Li's talent, he wouldn't have made such a decision. After Anil left the palace, he eagerly followed her. It wasn't easy for her to get the emperor's permission, so how could she be willing to give it up? Yi Li frowned slightly. He didn't know what to say. She could only stop talking and let Anil go. How could his heart be so easily occupied by another woman? Back then, Zhao Yun'er was able to enter his heart when he was at his most helpless. At that time, Zhao Yun'er was like a warm light that shined into his heart, allowing him to feel warmth. After picking up the firewood, Yi Li carried it into Zhao Yun'er's kitchen. Anil also picked up some branches behind him. Zhao Yun'er finally saw Anil. Eldest princess. Why are you also here? Zhao Yun'er asked in a surprised voice. Because she was in a rush last time in the capital, she didn't have time to meet with Anil. She never thought that Anil would follow them back to Water Mist Village today. Anil awkwardly scratched her head. Miss Yun'er, you know my identity? I also went to the banquet that day, so naturally I know. I thought you were a prince before, but I never thought you would be a princess. Chapter 2472. Anil felt even more embarrassed. She lowered her head and said shyly, Miss Yun'er, I didn't mean to hide it from you. It's just that sometimes it's safer for a girl to dress up as a man when she's outside. Zhao Yun'er nodded in agreement. Princess Royal is right. It's a good thing for a girl to dress up as a man when she's outside. After all, not everyone in this world is a good person. Once you meet a bad person or something terrible happens, it'll be too late to regret it. Hearing Zhao Yun'er's words, Anli's mood became a lot better. Miss Yun'er, I thought you would blame me for hiding this matter from you. You actually didn't care about it with me. You are really a good person. Zhao Yun'er was amused by Anil's cute appearance. Why would I be angry? It's not a big deal. It's fine as long as you didn't do anything to hurt anyone. Hee hee. Anil grinned as if she was very happy. Zhao Yun'er had a good impression of Anil. This girl had been well protected since she was young. She had a pure mind and was much better than those scheming young ladies. She got along well with this kind of person. Princess Royal still hasn't told me why you came to my house again? Anil froze and then smiled embarrassedly. Miss Yun'er, do you think I'm too troublesome and don't want me to come over? I'll pay for your room and food this time. Also, if you have any work to do, feel free to ask me. I won't trouble you too much. Zhao Yun'er quickly waved her hand. No. That's not what I meant. I'm just curious. Miss Yun'er, I don't need to be embarrassed in front of you. Actually, I like Yi Li and want to be with him. It would be best if he could accept me. Even if he doesn't, I'll be happy as long as I can see him every day. Anil said shyly as her cheeks turned red. Zhao Yun'er patted her head. She was so stupid. She was obviously here for Yi Li. Did she even need to ask? Then stay here. Yi Li is such a tall and handsome man. He is indeed very likable. The eldest princess really has good taste to be able to take a fancy to him. Anil smiled shyly. Right. Miss Yun'er thinks he's not bad. Yes. You look so good together with the eldest princess. You're a perfect match, a match made in heaven. Hearing Zhao Yun'er's words, Anil felt comfortable all over. Originally, Yi Li liked Zhao Yun'er, so Zhao Yun'er was her love rival. But towards this love rival, Anil couldn't bring up any hostility. Instead, she liked her very much. When she lived with the third branch, Zhao Yun'er and her family didn't know her identity. Instead, they took good care of her. They were all very good people. Of course she liked Zhao Yun'er and Zhao Yun'er's family. AI. It's a pity that Yili doesn't like me. He seems to hate me a bit. Thinking of this, and Li's originally high spirits were dampened. His face drooped, as if he was very sad. Zhao Yun'er patted Annel's shoulder and comforted her, "Don't worry. There's a mountain between a man chasing a woman and a woman chasing a man. As long as the eldest princess works hard, I think there's a big chance." Chapter 2473. Hearing Zhao Yun'er's words, Annel's face was filled with disappointment again. AI. Annel gave a heavy sigh and silently complained, "I've clearly been with Yili for a while. Why isn't Yili familiar with me? He's not slow at all. Or is Yili purposely ignoring me? He's just not familiar with me." Annel felt more and more hurt the more she spoke. If Yili was purposely distancing himself from her and ignoring her, then the situation would be more serious. It meant that Yili didn't want to interact with her. Zhao Yun'er gave an awkward cough and comforted her, "That eldest princess, Yili ignored you because he thought you were a man. You also know. It's strange for men to be too intimate with each other. You were too passionate back then. He knows you like him. But he's a normal man, how could he accept being with you? Now he knows you're a woman. The grudge in his heart can't be let go for now, but it will slowly disappear. Don't be anxious, I believe that as long as you stay with him and move him, there will be a day when his heart will soften." Annel finally understood why Yili was so against her. So it was because of this matter. He thought she was a man before, so he rejected her. For people who weren't into men, they rejected homosexuals. But why was he still so cold towards her now? It should be because his attitude from before hadn't changed and he still had a grudge against her. But like Zhao Yun'er said, she had to wait a bit longer. As time passed, the barrier between her and Yili would slowly disappear and perhaps Yili would accept her. Comforting herself like this, Annel's heart was filled with hope. If she wanted to be with Yili, then she had to be firm and walk down this path. She was the great Zhou country's eldest princess, she had never easily given up on anything. Annel gave a strong nod and said to Zhao Yun'er, I understand. Miss Yun'er, thank you. I will definitely persevere." Zhao Yun'er's words had a large effect on her morale, so she felt much better now. "Good luck." Zhao Yun'er cheered Annel on again. If such a cute and pure girl was with Yili, it would be a very good choice. Zhao Yun'er couldn't help feeling a bit of expectation. Because she knew that there was no chance of being with Yili in this life. However, as a friend, Zhao Yun'er didn't want Yili to be alone for the rest of his life. She hoped that there would be a kind and a cute girl by his side. At the very least, two people could accompany each other and support each other. It was better than one person being all alone. Among the girls she came in contact with, Annel was considered a very good girl. It wasn't because of anything else, she just purely liked Yili and wanted to be with him. After eating lunch, Zhao Yun'er sent the Liang family back. The following days were very peaceful. Mu Lianfeng and Yili were both back, so Zhao Yun'er didn't need to worry about their safety at the border. Adding in the fact that everything was on the right track, the days were very peaceful and there was still hope. Mu Lianfeng had made a great contribution to the court and the emperor had given him many tasks, but he had rejected them all. Chapter 2474. Happy days always passed so quickly. Unknowingly, time passed by very quickly. Tiantian's steps became more and more stable. The little girl seemed to like Mu Lianfeng very much. She clung to Mu Lianfeng every day. However, this little girl was very smart. Although she was not very old, she could say some simple words. The two words, "Daddy," came out of her mouth. Her childish voice was very playful and cute. Daodu was not as playful as before. Under Mu Lianfeng's guidance, he learned to read and recognize words every day with Zhao Tianfu. Half a day was used to study, and the other half was used to play. Although Mu Lianfen was a little strict with Daodu, Zhao Yun knew that this was for Daodu's good. Children could play, but they could not neglect their studies because of this. It was a good thing to learn more from a young age. When they grew up, their ability to accept things would not be as good as when they were young. Although they did not expect to be successful and pass the imperial examinations, they could understand more by reading more. Children should learn more useful things. Many of the villagers in the village were uncouth and rude. Most of the time, they did not study much and were uncultured. Some things could not be understood. When one's vision was limited, there were many things that one couldn't see clearly. Daodu and Zhao Tianfu were considered smart children. When it came to learning, Mu Lianfen was very easy to understand, and they could recognize more and more words. Originally, Zhao Yun wanted the two children to go to school to learn, but there was no school in the village. It would be more troublesome to send the children there. So she let Mu Lianfen come over to teach. Anyway, Mu Lianfen did not have any major matters to deal with in the village every day. He was basically very free. Mu Lianfen could be considered to be well-read. He was even better than the teachers in the school. It was more than enough to teach the children. Mulan's children had also reached the age of learning. They would come over to listen to the lessons with Daodu and Zhao Tianfu. They could more or less learn something. Even Zhao Tianan was willing to follow behind Mu Lianfen and learn a few words when he was not busy with farm work. Previously, because old Zhao's family was too poor, not all of the children in the family could go to school. Zhao Tianan had also thought of studying. Just like Zhao Tianlong, he relied on studying to make a name for himself. Unfortunately, his family did not have the money. Even if he had this thought, he would not voice it out. Now that he was old, he had long missed the opportunity to learn. He could only give up on the idea of becoming outstanding through studying. However, this didn't stop him from wanting to recognize a few more words. Over at Yi Li's place, preparations for the new house were also underway. He still had a lot of money in his hands. It was more than enough to build a house. The fields in the village were relatively easy to purchase. Yi Li spent less than 2 taels of silver to buy a foundation next to her house. Because Yi Li did not have much experience in building a house, the matter of building a house was entrusted to Zhao Yun's family. The bricklayers and workers that Zhao Yun's family had hired to build the house were quickly found. This time, Yi Li did not ask for a big house. 3 or 4 rooms were enough. A few houses were built in 20 days. With the help of Zhao Yun and her family, they also built a fenced courtyard for Yi Li. The courtyard was left at the foot of the mountain. It looked very quiet and beautiful against the forest. Chapter 2475. Yi Li looked at his new home. It wasn't very big, but it was very cozy. For Yi Li, the bigger the house, the better. The most important thing was that it was cozy and comfortable. A long time ago, he lived in a big house. The whole villa was very big, but he didn't like it. When he came back, he lived in Zhao Yun's small thatched cottage for a few days. Even in such a simple condition, he was still very happy to live there. Now his house was next door to Zhao Yun's house. He could see Zhao Yun every day in the future. It was naturally a happy thing to be neighbors with Zhao Yun. He didn't have to be with the girl he liked. It was actually a good choice to stay by her side for the rest of his life. When the house was just built, Anil stood in front of it and said happily, "This new house is so beautiful. It's small and exquisite. The most important thing is that I can live with Yi Li alone in the future." At that time, the two of them could live together in the same room. Perhaps there would be sparks of love between them. She had been living in Zhao Yun's house these days. Although Zhao Yun's house was quite big, it was crowded because there were too many people living in it. There were so many people around, and she wasn't shameless enough to sneak into Yi Li's room. However, it was different if she lived in Yi Li's new house. No matter how loud she made at night, Zhao Yun's family wouldn't hear it. Yi Li stood not far from Anil. Hearing what Anil said, the corners of his mouth twitched. He was a little displeased. "This is my house. It has nothing to do with you." Anil frowned at first, then forced a smile. She said shamelessly, "Yi Li, you can't say that. I put in a lot of effort when building this house. With my contribution, it naturally has something to do with me." He didn't seem to have asked her for help. He had even stopped her before. This woman really had the nerve to say that. Anil continued with a grin, "Yi Li, the new house is ready. Can we move in soon?" Yi Li glanced at Anil unhappily. "It's not just the two of us, it's just me." After being rejected so directly by Yi Li, Anil felt a little upset, but he continued shamelessly, "Yi Li, you must be lonely living in a room by yourself. Let me stay with you." "No need." Yi Li coldly rejected again. There were only him and Anil living in the same room. Who knew if this shameless woman was plotting something against him? Moreover, it was indeed not suitable for a man and a woman to be alone. If any rumors were to spread, it would be fine for him, but it would not be good for a girl. What if Anil claimed that her reputation was ruined and she couldn't get married? What could he do then? After thinking for a while, he decided that it was the best choice not to give Anil a chance to move in from the beginning. "Yi Li. Look at me. I'm an outsider after all. I've been staying in Yun's house for a long time. If I continue to stay here, I will feel embarrassed." Chapter 2476. Yi Li looked at Anil speechlessly. What was in her head? Why did she have so many excuses? Besides, he had clearly refused her several times, but Anil still said it shamelessly. For a girl to be so thick-skinned to this extent, it was really a bit amazing. Seeing that Yi Li was sullen and didn't say anything, Anil smiled and said, "Then it's decided happily." Then he ran away, so that Yi Li didn't even have a chance to refuse again. Yi Li built a new house this time, so Zhao Yun held a simple banquet. She didn't invite too many people, only old Zhao's family and a few more prestigious people in the village. Because Yi Li built a house in Shuilan village, it was equivalent to settling down in Shuilan village in the future. His family moved to Shuilan village, so he could be counted as a villager. There were still decades to come, so they had to build a good relationship with their neighbors. Therefore, Li Zheng and other prestigious people in the village had to be invited to the banquet. The banquet was simple. Only 2 tables were set up and some good dishes were prepared. It wasn't troublesome. It just so happened that old Zhao's family gathered together to have another meal. Now the other branches of old Zhao's family were living a better life. Zhao Wenshui and Zhao Wentao also started to follow Liang Jinyu and her husband to raise pigs and expand the scale of their pig farm. The pig farm raised more pigs, so they earned more money. In this way, even if they didn't get a share, they would still get a lot of money. Zhao Wenshui and Zhao Wentao both planned to buy a piece of land next to Zhao Yun's house and build a few brick houses. They would directly become neighbors with Zhao Yun. Old Zhao's house was too dilapidated after all. It was built with yellow mud, so it was easy to leak when it rained. Most importantly, the house was very low, so the light was not very good and it was full of a moldy smell. This brick house was different. It was much more spacious and bright. In the past, there was nothing he could do about it because he didn't have the money. Now that he was getting richer and had saved up some money, he would think about these other things. It didn't cost much to build a small house. As for Liang Jinyu and her husband, they felt that raising pigs would be a long-term job in the future. They estimated that they could raise them for the rest of their lives. The 2 of them had to stay in Shuilan village, but the children at home could not follow them. She decided to settle down in Shuilan village. Once she had a house, she could bring her children to live with her. It would save her the trouble of not being able to take good care of her children at home. When they arrived at Shuilan village, they would be able to take care of each other. When the children had nothing to do, they would come to the pigsty to help out, such as gathering pigweed. At the banquet in Yi Li's bridal chamber, old Zhao's family was in a very good mood. They drank a lot together and chatted happily. Zhao Yun listened carefully from the side and felt that it was somewhat interesting. Since she had just transmigrated, these people had changed a lot. Looking at the passage of time, some things seemed to have happened yesterday. God had let her experience a lot in this era. Fortunately, some of the people and things around her were developing in a good direction. Zhao Wenshui, who was a disgusting person in the past, had turned over a new leaf. With Zhao Wenshui's current conditions, although he couldn't continue to be with Li Chuiying, it wasn't difficult for him to marry another wife. Liang Jinxiao and Qian Zhenhua both asked the people in their family to help them find suitable women in their family's village. Chapter 2477. If he could find her, Zhao Wenshui would be able to marry another wife. At least he would have someone to accompany him for the rest of his life. After all, Zhao Wenshui was still young. If he had to spend the rest of his life on his own, he would be too lonely during the new year. It was already tough for a man to work outside. He wanted a virtuous wife to help him tidy up the house when he returned home. He didn't have to do anything big. She could cook, do the laundry, and chat with him. If it was in the past, no one would be willing to help him arrange a marriage with Zhao Wenshui. Any woman who married Zhao Wenshui would be a disaster. However, it was different now. Whoever married Zhao Wenshui was a very good choice. After the banquet was over, the people at the tables dispersed. In less than 2 days, Yi Li's custom-made furniture was delivered from Yang City. He finally moved out of Zhao Yun'er's house. Anil was very busy. Moving into Yi Li's new house today meant that she would be staying alone with Yi Li at night. It was an exciting thing. Yi Li's face darkened when he saw Anil moving things. He wanted to stop Anil. However, when he thought about how thick-skinned Anil was, he knew it was useless to say anything. This woman would definitely think of all sorts of ways to stay. He might as well let her be. Anyway, he just had to ignore her. What Yi Li didn't understand was why Anil still didn't give up after being scolded by him like this. Any girl who had a sense of shame would definitely be embarrassed. However, Anil was an exception. Logically speaking, Anil was the eldest princess. The royal family's etiquette and rules were more particular than ordinary people's. A princess's temper should be more reserved. However, Anil was completely different. Anil and Yi Li didn't have a lot of things, so they packed quickly. There were only a few sets of clothes. Previously, Zhao Yun'er had gone to Yang City to help buy some quilts. When they were moving things, she also helped to move them to Yi Li's new house. She had gone to Yang City to pick out some other furniture for the past few days. Therefore, Yi Li's house was basically not lacking in things. He had everything that he needed to buy and use. Anil grinned as he walked up to Yi Li and said to Yi Li, although this house is a little small, it's still very cozy with just the two of us living here. Yi Li's mouth twitched. If you think it's too small, you can go back to the palace. The palace's rooms are big. My small temple can't accommodate a big Buddha like you. Anlu pursed her lips, but this princess just likes this little temple of yours. Not only do we have to stay here for a while, we have to stay here for a lifetime. Yi Li didn't know what to say about Anil. Stay here for a lifetime? A high and mighty eldest princess, even if he didn't chase her away, the people in the palace wouldn't allow it. Yi Li estimated that Anil would be taken back in a few days. He just had to bear with it for now. He just had to bear with it for a while. So he calmly replied to Luan, up to you. Yi Li, are you willing to let me stay here for the rest of my life? Does that mean you've accepted me in your heart? You like me a little bit? Annel's face inched closer to Yili, scaring Yili so much that he quickly took a few steps back. Yili's expression darkened as he speechlessly replied, "You shameless woman, what can I do if you insist on staying here? But that doesn't mean I accept you or like you. Besides being shameless, why do you like to flatter yourself? I really don't know how to be a girl." Chapter 2478. Annel was not disappointed by Yili's words. Although Yili didn't say anything to her, compared to before, Yili went from rejecting her and chasing her away to being willing to let her stay for the rest of her life. To a certain extent, this showed that Yili was slowly accepting her. She was getting closer and closer to success. She firmly believed that Yili would truly accept her one day. Annel gave a soft snort. "You said it yourself, then I'll stay here for the rest of my life. I'll always bother you. Anyway, with me here, don't think about interacting with other women. If you don't marry me in this life and don't stay with me, then you'll be a bachelor for the rest of your life." Yili's face sunk. He didn't want to waste words with Annel, so he went into the room to pack his things. The new blankets had to be placed on the bed. He didn't have a wife, so this job fell on his head. Although Zhao Yun's women offered to help, they were rejected by Yili. He already troubled them enough, so he didn't want to add any more trouble. Although he was a man, he had hands and feet, so he could still do this kind of work. After a while, Yili neatly folded his blankets. In Annel's room, the blankets on the bed were a mess. During the time she was at Zhao Yun's home, it was always Zhao Yun's family helping her clean up. She wanted to clean it herself, but the bed was still a mess even after she cleaned it up, so she might as well not clean it up. As the eldest princess of the great Zhou country, she normally had servants to take care of her. These things were all done by the maids and she had never interfered before. Adding in the fact that she was weak, she couldn't even learn how to do simple things. Seeing Yili's bed, Annel called out in pleasant surprise, "Well, Yili, aren't you a bit too powerful? How could you make the bed this neat?" Yili was startled by Annel's yelling. He thought something bad had happened, but he didn't expect that it was just because he had made the bed too neatly. "Can you not make a fuss over nothing?" Yili reminded Annel unwillingly. "Yili, how am I making a fuss over nothing? You're the one who's really amazing. You're a grown man, yet you can make the bed so neat. You're really amazing. Unlike me, it's a mess like a dog's nest. You're a girl, and you don't even know how to make a bed. You still have the nerve to say that you'll pour it out? Don't you think this is an honor?" Yili looked at Annel speechlessly. Just because she was the eldest princess, she didn't act like a girl? This woman was definitely spoiled. Some things weren't too difficult and could be learned with just a little learning. However, she was so stupid that she couldn't learn even a little. Annel gave a laugh. She wasn't angry and said, "Yili, how am I embarrassed? I just want to use my lack of knowledge to show off how amazing you are. Really, I'm worshipping you more and more. The man that Annel fancy is different. Annel, look at me. I can't make my bed no matter what. You made it so neat, how about you help me make my bed too?" Annel looked at Yili with a pleading look. If Yili could help her make her bed, she would be able to sleep on Yili's blanket at night. That would be a very happy thing. Chapter 2479. I know. Of course, you have no obligation to help me. I don't see you as a servant either. I'm just asking for your help. Can you do me a favor and help me make the bed? Otherwise, I'll have to sleep on this doghouse bed tonight. Annel said with a pleading look in her eyes. Yili didn't even look at Annel before rejecting her. "Do your own thing." Annel sighed. All right. If you don't want to, then forget it. I'm going to look for Miss Yun'er now. I can only ask Miss Yun'er to help me make the bed. Annel was about to walk out of the door as she spoke. She knew that Yili was still thinking about Zhao Yuner. If she used Zhao Yuner's incident as an excuse, Yili would definitely agree. As expected, before Anil could walk out of the room, Yili hurriedly called out to Anil. "Wait a minute." Anil turned around with a grin and asked, "What's the matter?" "I'll help you make the bed. You don't have to trouble Yuner anymore." Yili's heart ached for Zhao Yuner. He knew that Zhao Yuner was very busy every day. She also had to take care of 2 children. She was already very busy and tired. She didn't want to trouble Zhao Yuner with such a small matter. That was why he stopped Anil. He could do this small matter and save Zhao Yuner the trouble of coming over again. Anil got what she wanted. She pretended to be unhappy and said, "All right then. Since you said so, I won't trouble Miss Yuner anymore. Yili, hurry up and help me make the bed." "Okay." Yili responded calmly. Then he walked into Anil's room and started to tidy up the bedding on the bed. Anil stood by the side, resting his chin on his hand as he admired the way Yili worked. His gaze was focused and serious, and his body revealed an extremely charming temperament. Anil became more and more obsessed. Why was Yili so good-looking? She had seen many handsome young masters in the capital, but it was rare to see someone as charming as Yili. It was a pity that Yili didn't like her. Otherwise, she would be so happy to be with such a man. Yili was very busy. It didn't take long for him to make Anil's bed. "Done," Yili said calmly. Anil couldn't wait to sleep on the bed that Yili had made for her. In a moment of excitement, Anil rushed towards the bed and accidentally tripped. Together with Yili, he fell onto the bed. The 2 of them were suddenly pressed against each other and had intimate contact. Anil's lips accidentally brushed against Yili's face. It was the first time their faces were so close. They could even smell each other's breath. Anil's heart was thumping wildly. She couldn't stop blinking as she stared at Yili. Oh my God! Was she dreaming? She actually pressed down on Yili. She couldn't believe it. She felt like she was in a dream. Under normal circumstances, Anil wouldn't dare to act so intimately with Yili. Yili would definitely kill her. Today, it was a freak combination of factors that made him fall on Yili by accident. Yili was also caught off guard by this accident. The 2 soft lumps on Anil's chest gave him a very strange feeling. Anil was very close to him. He could even smell the faint feminine scent coming from Anil's body. It was also Yili's first time being so intimate with a girl. His ears immediately turned red and his neck turned red. Chapter 2480. Oh. Anil froze for a few seconds before she came to her senses and got off Yili's body. Just like Yili, Anil's face was flushed red. Although she was usually a little thick-skinned, she was still a girl after all. When it came to this kind of thing, she couldn't help but feel a little shy. Especially when she was facing the man she liked the most. The 2 of them were so intimate for the first time. It was as if they had done something shameful. The bed isn't good anymore. If there's nothing else, don't disturb me. Yili said and hurriedly left Anil's room. Anil sat on the bed and couldn't help but pat her cheeks. It hurt a little. This meant that she wasn't dreaming. Oh my God. Everything that happened just now was real. She really pinned Yili down. After the shyness, Anil's heart was filled with endless excitement and excitement. It was as if she had done something very happy and worth celebrating. Yili, on the other hand, wanted to escape as quickly as possible. He wanted to get as far away from Anil as possible. Damn it. Why did he feel that the faint feminine scent on Anil's body was very pleasant for a moment just now? On the other hand, after Zhao Yuner helped Yili and Anil move their things, she brought the 2 children to play in the courtyard. Zhao Yuner made a small ball and had Tian throw it. She trained little Hei to pick it up. Every time little He picked up the ball that Tian Tian threw, Tian Tian would giggle happily. She had to admit that little He was very smart. When Zhao Yun'er said something, little He understood and did as she instructed. After playing for a while, Zhao Yun'er suddenly felt a little stuffy in her chest. She felt like vomiting. Ugh! Zhao Yun'er covered her chest and couldn't help but retch. Mu Lianfeng saw this and quickly went forward to ask, "Yun'er, what's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Should I call Dr. Sun over to take a look?" Zhao Yun'er waved her hand and chuckled. "It's nothing. I just feel a little nauseous. There's no need to make a fuss." Mu Lianfeng frowned and said seriously, "Even if you feel a little uncomfortable, you can't slack off. It's better to ask Dr. Sun to take a look. Only then can I rest assured." Zhao Yun'er guessed that she had caught a cold, so she felt a little uncomfortable and wanted to vomit. However, in order to reassure Mu Lianfeng, he still agreed to let Dr. Sun come over to take a look. Anyway, it was not troublesome. Zhao Tianfu led Dao to Dr. Sun's house, and Dr. Sun quickly rushed over. After checking her pulse, Dr. Sun smiled and said to Zhao Yun'er and Mu Lianfeng, "Yun'er's body is fine." "That's good." Mu Lianfeng was relieved. But what? "But congratulations to the two of you. Yun'er is pregnant. She has been pregnant for more than a month." Zhao Yun'er opened her mouth in surprise. She was pregnant? This was too sudden. In fact, except for the night when Mu Lianfeng first came back, Zhao Yun'er indulged a little and let Mu Lianfeng into her body. She had been careful and paid attention to contraception. However, she did not expect that because of that one time, she would have a child so soon. At this time, Zhao Yun'er's mood was very complicated. She was naturally happy to have a child that was really her and Mu Lianfeng's child. Although Dao De was also her child, strictly speaking, he was an indigenous person. She had not experienced pregnancy for 10 months and then a difficult delivery. She had not experienced the fruit of her and Mu Lianfeng's love. Chapter 2481. But while he was happy, he couldn't help but worry. She was pregnant now. If she gave birth so soon, who would take care of her at home? Mu Hin was also about to give birth. She needed more people to take care of her and serve her during her confinement. Although Liang Jinxiao had given birth, Zhao Yun'er's little sister was still young and needed more people to take care of her. If she gave birth to a child now, I'm afraid that when there are more children at home, I'll be very busy. Seeing that Zhao Yun'er was not in a good mood and there was a touch of worry in her eyes, Mu Lianfeng asked with concern, "Yun'er, what's wrong? Aren't you happy that we have a child? Or do you not want this child?" Zhao Yun shook her head and a helpless smile appeared on her lips. "Of course I'm happy to have a child, but I just feel that it's not the right time to have a child. There are many children at home these 2 days. I'm afraid that I won't be able to cope." Mu Lianfeng took Zhao Yun'er's hand and comforted her with a smile. "Yun'er, if you're too busy, I'll hire a maid. She'll definitely take good care of our family." Although Zhao Yun didn't want to be served, Mu Lianfeng's idea was still feasible. Just like in the 21st century, there were not enough people at home to hire some aunts and nannies to help take care of the family. "Okay." Zhao Yun nodded in response. "Yun'er, it's great to have another child with you." Mu Lianfeng held Zhao Yun'er's hand tightly and was so excited that he couldn't let go. The first time when Zhao Yun'er gave birth, he couldn't be by her side and didn't take good care of his own child. This time was different. He could accompany Zhao Yun'er and take good care of her during the whole process. Dr. Sun said with a smile, "Yun'er, you can eat more nourishing things and work less. Your body is still weak. After being pregnant, you have to pay attention to your body's health. Don't be too negligent. It's not good for the child in your belly." "Alright, Dr. Sun, I got it. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first." Dr. Sun picked up his medicine box and stood up to leave. Dr. Sun, take care. When old Zhao's family heard that Zhao Yun was pregnant, they were all happy for Zhao Yun. In ancient times, the more children one had, the better. Especially those from wealthy families, having a house full of children and grandchildren was a blessing. There had been too many happy events in old Zhao's family recently, and the villagers began to talk about feng shui again. Many people in the village were renovating their ancestral tombs, hoping that one day they would be as lucky as old Zhao's family. Ever since Zhao Yuner became pregnant, the whole family didn't dare to let her do any of the chores at home, fearing that something would happen to her. All the work that needed to be done was done by the men in the family. Tian, such a small child, suddenly became sensible. She no longer came to disturb Zhao Yuner and let Daodu and Mu Lianfeng take care of her. Therefore, Zhao Yuner was very leisurely during this period. However, Zhao Yuner couldn't stay idle, so she didn't do anything. She had nothing to do every day, so she was very bored. In fact, her family didn't have to be so nervous at all. In the first few months of pregnancy, her belly wasn't big. As long as she didn't do any hard work and was too tired, nothing serious would happen. Many women in ancient times dragged their big bellies to work in the fields when they were close to giving birth. Previously, when Liang Jinxiao was pregnant, although she was nervous, she wasn't too nervous. The most inconvenient thing about being pregnant was when she slept with Mu Lianfeng at night. Chapter 2482. But after a few days, he couldn't hold it in anymore. The two of them lay flat on the bed. Mu Lianfeng couldn't help but lean towards Zhao Yuner. Then, he turned over and hugged Zhao Yuner in his arms. He couldn't help but rub his face against Zhao Yuner's neck and whispered in Zhao Yuner's ear, "Yuner. I can't hold it in anymore." Mu Lianfeng was a normal man. In addition, he was young and impetuous, so he had more desire. The woman he liked was in his arms, so it was difficult for him to hold it in. Zhao Yuner quickly pushed Mu Lianfeng away and stopped Mu Lianfeng's behavior. "No. Yuner, why? Don't you know that women can't have sex after they're pregnant?" Mu Lianfeng frowned and replied, "I know, but I thought it was just that you can't have sex after you're pregnant. Now that your belly is still small, it can't be seen." "It should be fine," Zhao Yuner then explained to Mu Lianfeng. After a woman was pregnant, she couldn't have sex for the first 3 months and the second 3 months. Although it was fine for the first few months, it was safer to have sex. Of course, for ordinary people, it was indeed very difficult for a normal man and woman to have sex for 10 months. In addition, during confinement to recuperate, they couldn't have sex for a year. This was a very painful and torturous period, but for the sake of the child in her belly, she could only endure it. After hearing Zhao Yuner's words, even if Mu Lianfeng's desire was very strong, he still restrained himself for Zhao Yuner and the child. "Okay, Yuner, I got it. Don't worry. I won't touch you if you can't." As Mu Lianfeng spoke, he hugged Zhao Yuner and gently planted a kiss on Zhao Yuner's forehead. He placed one hand on Zhao Yuner's belly and gently stroked it, feeling the little life in Zhao Yuner's belly. Unfortunately, the child was only a month old. It was too young to feel anything. Mu Lianfeng could only close his eyes and imagine what the child in Zhao Yuner's belly would be like when it was born. Mu Lianfeng hoped that the child could be as pure and beautiful as Zhao Yuner. "Yuner, do you think it's better for us to have a boy or a baby girl?" Mu Lianfeng asked with a smile. Zhao Yun thought for a moment, "Boys and girls are good. But we're already having a boy, it's better if we have a girl. It's only good if we have both a boy and a girl." Mu Lianfeng nodded in agreement. "I also think it's better to have a girl. A daughter is the most considerate child of her parents. It's good if the girl can be as cute and sensible as Tian. Yeah. Go to sleep. You have to sleep more. It's good for the child in your belly if you sleep well. Okay. The two of them snuggled together and soon fell asleep. On the other end, Anil had just fallen asleep when he heard a scream from Yi Li's room. Anil was so scared that he didn't even put on his shoes. He rushed into Yi Li's room to see what was wrong with Yi Li. He saw Yi Li sitting on the bed with a layer of sweat on his forehead. Under the moonlight coming through the window, his face was pale. Anil rushed to Yi Li and asked, "Yi Li, what's wrong? What happened? Why do you look so pale?" Faced with Anil's concern, Yi Li had a strange feeling in his heart. However, on the surface, he replied calmly, "It's none of your business. Don't ask." Chapter 2483. I told you, you don't have to care about my business. We have nothing to do with each other. Yi Li still looked at Anil coldly. No, I want to care. Yi Li, I'm telling you, I'm definitely going to care about your business. I'm going to rely on you for the rest of my life. Let's see what you can do about it. Anil acted shamelessly. You. Before Yi Li could teach Anil a lesson, he felt a sudden pain in his forehead. He rubbed his temples in pain and closed his eyes. He felt terrible. Anil panicked when she saw this. She immediately asked anxiously, "Yi Li, don't scare me. What's wrong with you? Sob sob sob. Don't scare me. Can you talk to me and tell me what's wrong?" Anil was startled by Yi Li's movement and started crying. Yi Li suddenly felt bad when he heard Anil's crying. "I'm fine," he replied in a weak voice. "How can you say that you're fine? Who are you trying to fool? Sob sob sob. Where am I going to find a doctor for you in the middle of the night?" Anil couldn't help but wipe the tears from the corners of her eyes. She felt even more sorry for Yi Li. This is an old problem. No doctor can cure it. Don't even think about it. Then what are you going to do? Was she going to just stand by and watch Yi Li continue to suffer? Seeing Yi Li like this, Anil felt even more pain than when she was injured. She wished that she was the one suffering this pain instead of Yi Li. Yi Li. Anil sniffled. She went up to Yi Li and hugged Yi Li. She hoped that her hug could bring some comfort to Yi Li and let Yi Li know that she cared about him. It was Anil's embrace that soothed Yi Li's pain. It was the first time he had been hugged like this. If it were any other day, he would have pushed Anil away. But this time, he did not. He enjoyed the warmth of this embrace, and his heart gradually calmed down. Yi Li thought he must be crazy. Why was he unable to resist Anil's embrace? Yi Li reached out and hugged Anil. All of this surprised Anil too much. He was stunned for a moment before his entire body stiffened. She expected Yi Li to push her away. However, not only did Yi Li not push her away, he even returned her hug. Anil thought that she must be dreaming, so he reached out and pinched her cheek hard. Immediately, she felt a sharp pain on her face. The pain made her realize that she wasn't dreaming. Yi Li really hugged her. Did this mean that Yi Li had accepted her? Actually, he didn't dislike her that much, right? She could feel the happiness of getting along with Yi Li these days. Although Yi Li was still cold to her on the surface, she actually cared about her. She didn't resist like at the beginning. That. Yi Li, I really like you. If you want to hug me, you can hug me anytime. Hee hee. Anyway, I'm depending on you for the rest of my life. Now that you're hugging me, you have to take responsibility. Anil mumbled. Yi Li did not reply. He just hugged Anil's hand reluctantly. His heart told him that he shouldn't do this, but his body gave another response. Chapter 2484. In the next few months, life became more and more comfortable. Mu Lianfeng hired a few servant girls to take care of Zhao Yun's daily life, so they were not so busy. Zhao Yun's belly became bigger because of her pregnancy. By the time she was 8 or 9 months pregnant, it was very inconvenient for her to move around. However, Zhao Yun knew that she could not sit for long after she was pregnant. She had to exercise from time to time, so that it would be easier for her to give birth. Estimating the expected date of delivery, the family had already arranged for a midwife in advance, waiting for the day of delivery after the full term. For some reason, Zhao Yun's belly was bigger than the average person's. Several sisters-in-law of old Zhao's family gathered together, staring at Zhao Yun's belly and discussing curiously. Yun's belly is really bigger than the average person's. Yes. It's too big. I reckon that the child in her belly will be very big when it's born. It should be a big fat boy. Definitely. With such a big belly, it must be a son. Zhao Yun touched her belly and could not help but laugh. People in ancient times valued boys over girls and wanted a son, but she did not. Sigh, but fate made fools of people. The more you think about it, the less you think about it. She wanted to give birth to a daughter, but she did not have a daughter. At this time, Tiantian's walking was very nimble. This child was smart, which meant that she could also speak a few sentences, so communication was not a problem. Tian was like a little rabbit, skipping over to Zhao Yun. She touched Zhao Yun's belly with her little hand and giggled. Then, she pointed at Zhao Yun's belly and said, younger sister, old Zhao's sisters-in-law, who was standing nearby, reminded her, little girl, what younger sister? It's a younger brother. Tian pouted and said unhappily, Tian wants a younger sister, not a younger brother. Huh. Zhao Yun was amused and asked Tian, why does Tian want a younger sister and not a younger brother? Tian wants a younger sister. Mother will give birth to a younger sister, okay? Huh. Good. Zhao Yun patted Tiantian's head and replied with a doting tone. Daoda stood up and said, Mother, Daoda likes little brother. Mother should give birth to a younger brother. Zhao Yun shook her head. One of you wants a younger brother, and the other wants a younger sister. Nyangqin can't give birth to twins all of a sudden, and let you have a younger brother and a younger sister, right? Then whether mother gives birth to a younger brother or a younger sister, Daoda will like them both. Daoda replied sensibly. That's right. No matter if it's a younger brother or a younger sister, they're still your brothers and sisters. As older brothers and sisters, you have to take care of your younger siblings in the future, okay? Yes. The two children nodded very sensibly. Daoda stepped forward and looked at Zhao Yun with pleading eyes. Mother, can Daoda touch the little brother in mother's stomach? Listen to his voice like father? Of course. He. Daoda happily came forward and pressed his ear against Zhao Yun's stomach. After feeling a slight movement, Daoda excitedly shouted, Mother, little brother is moving. Huh. Mother, when can Daoda see little brother? Soon. In 1 or 2 months. Daoda wants to see him immediately. Daoda's eyes shone brightly with anticipation. Chapter 2485. Everything is going well. For Zhao Yun, who had no experience in childbirth, giving birth was indeed a very painful process. Only by personally experiencing it could she truly understand that kind of pain. Perhaps it was because the baby in her belly was too big, but Zhao Yun had a lot of trouble giving birth. A layer of sweat beaded on her forehead because of the pain. In ancient times, the delivery room was an inauspicious place because seeing blood could bring bad luck. Under normal circumstances, men were not allowed to enter. But Mu Lianfeng did not care so much and insisted on staying by Zhao Yun's side. After several hours of labor, she finally gave birth to a child. The midwife joyfully said to Mu Lianfeng, Congratulations, Lord Heir, it's a boy. In the future, there will be another young master at home." Just as she finished speaking, the midwife realized that something was wrong and started muttering again, "No, there's another one in the belly." As she spoke, the midwife put down the child and continued to deliver. After that, Zhao Yun continued to give birth to a girl. The busy people in the delivery room hurriedly helped to wash the two babies. The midwife grinned from ear to ear. "Lord Heir and Lord Heir Consort are really blessed. You actually gave birth to a boy and a girl. This old woman has never seen such a thing in all these years of delivering babies." A boy and a girl were auspicious. It was an auspicious sign. Zhao Yun gave birth to a boy and a girl at once. Everyone in the family was overjoyed when they heard this. Mu Lianfeng was also excited. Looking at the weak Zhao Yun he gently kissed Zhao Yun's head and said, "Yun, did you hear that? We gave birth to a boy and a girl." At this moment, Zhao Yun was very weak, but she was also very happy when she heard that she gave birth to a boy and a girl. The midwife brought the two babies to Zhao Yun and let Zhao Yun see the two babies' appearances. The babies were wrinkled when they were born, but it could be vaguely seen that the children's facial features were very handsome. They would definitely be very good-looking when they grew up. The moment she saw the child, Zhao Yun suddenly felt that all the pain she had suffered was worth it. "Yun, thank you for your hard work. In the future, we will always protect you." Mu Lianfeng held Zhao Yun's hand tightly and promised. Time flew by. In the following days, Mu Lianfeng fulfilled her promise, just as she had said. The whole family stayed together. Although they lived a simple life in the countryside, they felt a happiness that they had never felt before. Meanwhile, everything around them was getting better. Zhao Yun's tea business was getting bigger and bigger. Most of the business was slowly handed over to Mu Lan's family and Mu Hin and Zhao Tianan to manage. After a few years, they had planted more tea leaves on several mountains. The business of raising pigs was also doing well. At least, their family members did not have to worry about food and clothing. Because they no longer had to worry about survival, Zhao Yun spent most of her time with her family, assisting her husband and teaching her children. In the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed. The two children had already learned how to talk and walk. They would not stop being naughty every day. Fortunately, there were many people in the family. Many people took care of them, so they were not too tired. Mother, Zhao Yun had only been gone for an hour. The two children immediately ran over when they saw her. They opened their little arms and asked for a hug. Zhao Yun could only hug one child on each side. Anil saw this and said sadly, "Sigh, these two little ingrates. I've been taking care of them for so long, but they're still not close to me. They're only talking about how good their mother is." Zhao Yun smiled and replied, "Princess Royal, then you should give birth to one yourself. Only a biological one is close." Anil thought about it and nodded in agreement. Yun is right. A biological one is good. I want to give birth to one too. Then she turned to Yili and said, "Yili, can I help you give birth to a monkey too?" "No." Yili shook his head. No. Let's give birth to one too." "I don't care. I'm sticking to you. I want to give birth to a monkey for you." Anil clung onto Yili. Yili quickly turned around to escape. But the moment he turned around, he smiled. It was as bright, happy, and warm as the sun in the sky. The ending. Everyone is living a happy and wonderful life. I hope everyone's life will have a happy ending. I've been writing this book for more than a year. Thank you for your company for more than a year. I'm really grateful for everyone's support. If you want to continue reading, you can take a look at my other works. It's a farming novel of the same genre. Beautiful Peasant Girl, Picking a General to Farm, is a free monthly subscription. Monthly subscribers can support it. My new book, Fierce Wife Farming, The Man in the Mountains Dotes on Endlessly. Although I can't bear to part with this book, I still want to say goodbye to everyone today. Moi, end of chapter. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.